Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad 𝐸𝐿𝐻𝐼. That's Tyson Gentry. We're talking about my Philadelphia 76ers today. Joel Embiid's back in the headlines. It's another injury. It's another consultation with doctors. And this Sixers team is arguably the worst in the league. If you watch them just get decimated by the Chicago Bulls, it was a complete disgrace. Tyson, I'm curious to hear his thoughts because he's going to try to be a little bit unbiased. I'm just so done with this Sixers team. We're going to give our take about the state of the affairs. We're going to talk about Joel Embiid, everything surrounding the Sixers, because it looks like it is another lost season for a guy who won an MVP a few years ago.
My brother, I just want to clear the runway here for you and just kind of let you take off. This has been a long season. It's been a long half a decade, long 25 years. There's not been a ton for you to smile about, and you talk yourself into these Philadelphia 76ers every offseason, so let the hate flow through you.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of tee off here. First, let us know what you think about the Sixers in the comments. I mean, what the hell's going on with Embiid? Is this time to tank, time to blow everything up? Let us know what you think. Everything surrounding this Philadelphia 76ers team in the comments here. Tyson, I said the other day when I was watching it was on social media, or I said this on social media, all the hope that the Sixers and all the hope and goodwill that the Sixers built through, no, trust the process. Like, we're losing for a reason. We have the light at the end of the tunnel. It was like, okay, it's one thing when you suck, but if we can suck together and we can suck for the common good, we can suck for a good reason, we can palate that. It's a little bit more palatable. We can understand that. And the Sixers were a disaster when coming out of this rebuild. I mean, honestly, it might be the worst rebuild in the history of sports. That's how bad it's been. Because you look at it, what are the payoffs? Joel Okafor out of the league. Nerlens Noel out of the league. Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum. Not with the program anymore, or not with the team anymore. Joel Embiid is supposed to be your centerpiece. He's no longer playing. He's no longer any good. He's out of shape. He can't win. They haven't gotten to the conference finals. This is a franchise that hasn't gotten there since 2001. And we're talking about the NBA. Over half the teams make the playoffs. It's absurd. This is mismanagement across the board. It starts with a horrendous ownership of Josh Harris. He should sell the team. It's clear that he cares more about the Washington Commanders than the Sixers. So I don't think he should be the owner of this franchise anymore. I'll be straight with you there. Now, it's a cash cow. He's not going to sell it unless somebody actually comes along and gives him a good offer. But what things can actually control – Daryl Morey did a horrendous job in his tenure. I mean, you roll your career, you roll the dice on James Harden after you saw what he did in Houston, completely dismantled everything in Philadelphia. You chose Tobias Harris, basically, over Jimmy Butler. Now, I know there's extenuating circumstances surrounding that, but then there's also Ben Simmons was the whole thing of this too. How the hell did the Sixers get strapped with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid when we're looking around here and you got the Spurs doing what they're doing, the Thunder doing what they're doing? It's because this franchise just has no clue how to do anything related to being successful. Nobody's walking through that door that's Charles Barkley, Daryl Dawkins, Julius Erving. It's just hopeless now. They're going to waste Tyrese Maxey, which is a complete disgrace. If I'm him, man, and I love Tyrese Maxey and I love the Sixers, do the kid a favor and get him to an actual winner because he's going to be wasted in this godforsaken franchise. And it's just awful because you're not going to be able to move off Joel Embiid because he's got another injury and he's going to be paid $65 million before his contract is up in 4 years. It's just a complete disgrace.
Yeah, and I'm not going to push back on really any of what you said. I can look at it from, let's say Joel Embiid gets shut down for the rest of the season. How much does it matter? With this basketball team, with the way this organization is being run, Brad, and look, I want them, if we're going to build around somebody, let's go Maxey. That's what I think too. But if you're going to go with a 6'2" and a 6'3" guard as the future of your franchise here, that's also shaky. The roster construction of this team has not been good. We were all excited to watch Embiid play during the Olympics and look at, he's out there when it matters, and he's huffing and puffing, but maybe JoJo is going to come back with a renewed sense of urgency. And then we get to report after the Olympics, hey, I don't know what's going on with his knee. Something's going on with his knee. And it just never ends with this guy, whether it's I love to watch Joel Embiid. I'm one of the only people I think on earth that enjoys watching his brand of basketball, but he cannot stay out of – nothing is good when it comes out of Philadelphia. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. There's not a positive story to be spun ever since Jared McCain went to the bench.
Oh God, the McCain injury was. I knew once that happened, he tore his knee up. I'm like, of course, it's just a Sixers curse because the kid was playing so good. He was carrying it when Maxey was out. It just a complete disgrace. Now, Tyson, here's the thing. Joel Embiid was the face of this rebuild, and it was so fun at the beginning, right? Like this guy, and he's cares about the city, he cares about playing hard, and
he's cheeseburgers.
Right, and he kind of is ingratiating himself with the city. This thing is sour now. Like I think everybody would like pack his bags for him and move him out of town, and it should not be that way. It's just that's how it happens with this franchise. It's a franchise of loser mindsets. Like, it hasn't been elite since the 2001 year. I mean, the success with everybody's head from there, and to that point, they haven't done anything that's going to get this roster and this franchise into the point where they can actually compete like legitimately for an NBA Finals. The Embiid contract was a huge thing, a huge reason for that. Going and getting James Harden made no sense at the time. They could have gotten Jalen Brunson, the local kid from Philly who works hard. No, let's go get James Harden instead. The guy who doesn't care and has his freaking his jersey hanging from a strip club in Houston. That's how often he went there. So it's backwards with every single
Mikal Bridges was on the team draft night. Like, we're not even talking about we're better part of a decade from when the owner had a burner Twitter account that got caught. Like, it's been a clown show forever.
It's this horrendous. So we're operating here, Tyson, and like you said, we're recording here and we're not quite sure. Joel Embiid's still consulting doctors, considering alternative options, maybe surgery. We'll see. I think he's going to get shut down. And this maybe gets released when that becomes official. I think that's our plan here. He's gotten regular injections. It hasn't worked. Oh, what do you know? Another thing with Embiid here. So as we kind of go away from the Sixers, because we've said, pretty much everything there is to say about that trash can organization. What does this mean for Embiid, man? I mean, like, can you come back from this? Is it like, how can he operate? Like, he looks slow as it is already. He's already fallen over. Like, as they said, your play style needs to change. He hasn't done it. So, like, where do we go with Embiid?
I have no idea, because like my brain tells me the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and this might just be the end of Joel Embiid. Like, is a bright star, but it flamed out pretty quick. I mean, we're talking about a guy who won the MVP award a couple years ago, and it just feels like that is a distant memory at this point. But then I can also very much see, just to stick it to Philadelphia fans and everybody else, that Joel Embiid goes somewhere, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's the guy that can average 30 and 15. I don't think that guy lives there anymore. I think he can come up, for the occasional game against Charlotte in the regular season, but I've never even seen that guy come out in the playoffs when he's at the peak of his powers, hardly. So I'm not expecting a second half career resurgence here for him in a different uniform.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the Sixers aren't going to be able to get him out of the uniform.
No,
like, he's
there. Yeah.
It's just, he's there, and as much as people want him or not, whether he's on the floor or on the bench, like, he's going to be a part of this, eating all that guaranteed money, destroying the cap and destroying the flexibility you have. And Tyson, we're talking about this. We haven't even mentioned the Paul George disaster of a signing. Like, that was supposed to be an upgrade over Tobias Harris. Everybody wanted to run Toby out of the building, and Toby's was better than Paul George. Now, apparently, Paul George is injured as well. What's new when you come to the Sixers? Just go ahead and get into the MRI machine. That's how it works. But the reality is, there's another injury to the guy who's supposed to be the face of the franchise, who's supposed to be the face of this rebuild, supposed to be the hope, the light at the end of the tunnel from all the terrible losing that happened in the city, and yet the fans can't stand the guy. I think he wants, honestly, if he had his druthers, he'd be out of there, and it just is a collapse on top of itself with the Sixers. So,
do you think we'll ever talk about how the NBA meddled in this whole situation and doesn't have a problem with it when Oklahoma City's doing it? And maybe that's why this whole thing is unfolded this way?
Here's the other thing, too. People are always like, oh, if Sam Hinkie was still in charge, the same guy who drafted Okafor and Nerlens Noel and Michael Carter-Williams, like, at least I'm mixing up. We just had horrendous executives, so I'm not even on board with the Hinkie thing. Because everybody's like, well, if Sam Hinkie was in charge, I'm like, I don't know exactly. He's the executive of the year, but I mean, sure, maybe he's better than what they had, but it's just, I don't know. I think the NBA probably knows the messed up Tyson. They're not going to admit it, of course, but I mean, I do think it had an impact on the Sixers. I will say that.
So one of my favorite things to do is get Brad's blood pressure as high as I can, as close to bedtime as I can. I think we accomplished that today.
Unfortunately, yes, Tyson. But it's just something. It's what they do to me. And of course, I'm a sucker, and I keep watching, even if they're losing by 50 against the Chicago Bulls. Is a complete disgrace. But we got more content. Like, subscribe, and share the show. Smash like button. We got a ton of stuff coming your way, so make sure you stay subscribed. Share it with a friend. Share it with an enemy. Let us know in the comments what you think about this complete dumpster fire that is the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.